algorithm, the algorithm numbers together, like what it would bet. But I'll do that today or tomorrow, and we'll have it for next time. But I have the math in there, and here we are back again.
All right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. What's new and exciting in your life? Anything?
Yeah, I defended Kenta Gatami the last
You
2 days
defended
very well,
Mexico.
against the black belt very well. Yes, so
Ooh,
I'm happy about
ooh, ooh, look at you and your bad self.
that.
Sneaking out of black belt shit. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm trying. You taught me well. I'm taking what you taught me and running with it.
That's the best thing you can do.
All
Like
right.
you take information other people give you and then you build on it. Because none of it's the end all be all. It's a platform to develop your own growth.
I like that. A platform to develop your own personal growth. Yes, I like it. I like it. Um, and with that, I tried a strawberry sativa edible from New Jersey, and it was pretty amazing. A couple days ago. It was like it's supposed to give you energy, but it made me sleepy. Maybe because I already have energy, so it had the opposite on me. But I slept like a baby. Little loopy for like 2 hours. It was 100 grams of THC, but I was a little out of it for a couple hours. But I just slept, and it was pretty good. Pretty
You
awesome.
might have taken too much. If it knocks you out like that, yeah,
Right,
but still, it might just be too much intensity for you,
probably.
right?
I'm
You
weak.
might have only needed 10, and you got 100, right? That kind of stuff. But
Okay.
also, so like for me, I'm ADHD, which means there's a rewiring of my brain.
Me too.
I'm not perfect. So then this is gonna, so like I'm not talking about the ADHD that all kids are because they have so much sugar and we force them to sit still all day. Like that's not what I'm talking about.
No.
An actual ADD that's a repatterning of the neurons in your brain. And it causes things. The reason that they give Adderall to those kids, or that they give Adderall to ADHD, is because it closes certain synapses in your brain, right? They give you speed to calm you down
Right.
because the brain is programmed backwards. So low levels of caffeine actually calm me down rather than
Mm-hmm.
hyping me up. And
Okay.
then you have to use like absurd amounts. So I've also found that a sativa does not do what it does for everybody. Oh, I'm more energetic and
Yeah,
focused and I'm
that's what
happy and bouncy and like
that's what
nah.
I'm told. But yeah, I didn't have that on me at all.
I think it's different. I think it's different as applied to ADHD.
Right.
I'm
We
not
have
sure.
the
No, I'm
we
100%
have
speaking out of my ass.
no. We have to have the placebo effect. Like it's different on everyone, I'm sure, but it's got to be. It's probably just the opposite on us. We don't.
Yeah,
Um.
I think
But,
that's part of it. I think that's definitely part of it.
mm,
So
I like it.
we had fights last week.
We had fights last week. Yeah. If you watch the fights, yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be low level, and it definitely performed. Started off low level with the Dean Barry Mike Jackson fight. I mean, that was a pretty grotesque display of mixed martial arts. Um, and ended with a DQ win for the underdog. So, I mean, if you bet the underdog out there, that is what a way to catch a ticket at
God.
7-1 your way. But if you looked, we gave all winners out. Under 1.5 in that fight cashed. Aori Ki Lang crushed early. Jordan Wright got crushed early. So you cashed on Barrier and under 2.5. Jess Andrade, I think that's the fight worth talking about other than our own bets. I mean, what a sick finish. Never seen that before, and I guess no one has because it's the first time ever. But I remember that move. You taught me that move actually, maybe about 2 years ago. That was that's a pretty wild finish. Was there any defense that Lemos had at that point, or was it just game over?
So having looked at it, it actually was kind of, from a technical standpoint, it was kind of a shitty arm triangle.
Was it really? It looked like she grabbed like a real naked choke grip in
Yeah,
his foot.
absolutely, absolutely. It was a very tight position,
Okay.
but the alignment of her collarbone in relation to the armpit, which is what you want in order to drive the shoulder into the neck, was not proper. When you push on the tricep, it causes pressure into the face, and there's still a gap right here that you'd be able to see if I wasn't brown on brown right now, right? If I didn't have this beard, right? There's still a gap here when I push it into the head. When I push it into the armpit, what happens is the whole shoulder joint comes up, right? So she could have been a little bit better on that. Secondarily, when you use that rear naked choke grip, I don't want to put my hand on the opponent's head, because then I'm actually creating space within the submission.
Okay.
You're supposed to grab your own head, because then you close it off and you keep yourself closer to the lock. The big way to escape an arm triangle is to pass your head, arm to the other side of the head. If I push your head away from my head, I create a bigger gap to give the opportunity for escape, right? That being said, the reason that most arm triangles don't work standing is because people can run from you. When you do them on the wall, they're significantly more effective, right? It's if you think about the wall as though it's a vertical floor, it changes the way you learn how to utilize it. So you'll often see really good jiu-jitsu guys use the wall to pass guard.
Okay.
Right? Wrestlers will use the wall to maintain positions. Right? So like jiu-jitsu guys will put their feet on the wall and walk across the wall to achieve a different position. Right? Wrestlers will pin you against the wall, and they'll focus on pinning your hip to the wall in the same way that they would pin your hip to the floor. If your back is against the wall and I put you in an arm triangle, it's effectively the same thing as if your back was on the ground and I put you in an arm triangle.
All right.
Now, that being said, she's Brock Lesnar strong, so
She is strong.
Fucking make it work, girl. Make it work. It's not another win. Like, that shit doesn't happen. But that's like a legit technique that I had been working on with people a number of years ago. Not enough to have like regular success with it, but specifically against the wall, that's a perfectly viable technique. Hit like a little duck under, hit a little slide by, keep your knee in the inside so they can't spin around. Right? Get them to get a collar tie, knock them past, lock it up, and press them into the wall. Like, that's super legit technique. It's a super legit strategy. An application of tactics. So good on her. There was a whole shit ton of submissions on this card.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of I think we predicted more likely violence and finishes, and yeah, you definitely saw a lot of finishes in this card. I think the only fight that wasn't a finish that we thought was the Pacquiao and Felipe Lins. And like I did watch that fight, it more looked like either guy just wasn't skilled enough to finish the other guy, because they were gassed after the first round. It was tough. It was like they were gassed, but they just didn't have enough to finish. Lynn's got the win, the unanimous decision win. He dropped the first round, but he was able to win the last two rounds. Macy Barber dominated. Looked like Macy Barber should have looked, I guess, against Montana, even though we liked Montana. So Macy Barber shut us up.
Macy looked really good. Macy looked better than she has in quite a while.
Yeah.
She looked confident. She was dominant. I just heard a crazy statistic. There have been somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm going to fuck up the exact numbers, right? But there have been 30 women's fights year to date, right? 30 women's fights in the UFC as of April 27th, 2022, right? Only 5 of them have been stoppages.
How about that? That's close.
So if you have a under over round prop bet, or you have a by decision or by finish type prop bet,
they're always out there. Yep.
Girls don't tend to get finishes. And that's not to say that they can't. It's not to say they're not skilled enough, but like most MMA fighters don't take the time and put it into jiu-jitsu required to develop an effective system of finishing people on the ground. For better or for worse, it doesn't happen. And girls typically don't hit hard enough to finish each other with strikes. Typically.
Yeah, I totally agree on you with that. I've been saying for a while now that if people, I don't advise really laying a price of maybe like minus 200 or more in men's MMA, because just there's always that threat of usually like a knockout power. But if people do like, so some people that just like to lay big favorites. If you want to lay a big number with big favorites, yeah, I say you should rather do it in a women's MMA match where they're just right. They don't have as much power. Maybe not as technically savvy. They can't move as fast, so there's less.
I disagree with. Women are typically more technically savvy.
Okay.
Women are typically more technical than men.
That might be.
But men's MMA is further ahead
Okay.
in its development. So more men are at a 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 technically than women are. But the average woman that trains is more technical than the average man that trains.
Okay.
Because they have to be.
Okay.
Have to be.
Yeah, that might be. Explosion
codes.
Right, the injury, like they just don't they don't sustain the injuries in the octagon that men do due to like explosive movements, devastating kicks, like things like you might break a shin or things like that, your foot, what's it called, dead leg, like things like that. Like you don't see that enough. Like those things can really, that's why I don't like to lay. I don't advise laying big favorites ever. Like it's really hard to do. And sometimes they look great. They crush, like Alexander Romanov. Yeah, he's probably going to crush Chase Sherman, but I mean, it's just not worth it. That time he does get into that injury, you can never get that money back. You're laying too much money out. Which brings us to maybe this week. We had some, UFC's been some good Bellator cards past 2 weeks. UFC's been
go back and watch Kyoji Horiguchi versus Patchy Mix.
Yeah,
I watched the fight.
Yeah, I watched that fight. I was surprised. At either how, like I love Patchy. I've probably bet Patchy Mix maybe 2 out of his last 3 times he wasn't a huge favorite. He fought an Irish guy the fight before that, I think, in Ireland. I bet him on that. He won the fight. I mean, he's really good. Either his wrestling was underrated or Horiguchi is overrated, because he seemed like he really got the better of the grappling or out grappled Horiguchi. Horiguchi's supposed to be a great grappler, American top team guy. I don't know.
Horiguchi's a karateka, not a grappler.
Is that like judo?
Karate.
Oh, okay.
Judoka would be the judo version.
Judoka, right.
Karateka is a karate practitioner. But if you look at his bouncy footwork, he stays far away, bounce, explode in, explode out. That's the mark of a karateka, of a point-style karateka.
Okay.
And then full contact karate turns into Dutch-style kickboxing.
Okay.
But yeah, the part of the issue with Kyoji Horiguchi is, even though he's likely the most technically sound fighter in the Bellator bantamweight Grand Prix, he's not a bantamweight. He's a flyweight.
True.
So he's fighting up a weight class against some of the best fighters in the world. It's really just not conducive to seeing his true greatness. However, Rizin doesn't have anyone good enough for him to fight, so they allow him to fight in Bellator. He's technically not a Bellator fighter. He's technically a Rizin fighter.
Right.
But Rizin contracts him out to Bellator because they don't have anybody for him to fight that's noteworthy enough to pay him as much money as they have to pay him. And Bellator doesn't have a flyweight division. But right. So everybody he fights is going to be huge. And Patchy Mix, Patchy Mix is almost 6 feet tall and fights at bantamweight. Like, he's a monster at that weight class. Being a monster and a grappler is a problem. It's a real problem. Rafion Stotts was the first person ever to finish Juan Archuleta. If not for first person ever, he's the first person by knockout. Rafion Stotts comes out of Rufus Sport. He's either a Division II or a Division III national champion wrestler. Rufus Sport in Milwaukee, Wisconsin currently have the Bellator world title and the Bellator interim world title for bantamweight.
That's correct.
Sergio Pettis and Rafion Stotts. So I'm curious what's going to happen if Rafion makes it to the end, wins this division, and then has to fight Sergio. What happens? Because they've been training together for fucking ever.
Somebody's got to leave the gym, bro. Somebody's got to leave the gym, go somewhere else, pick up a new or whatever.
That's the way most gyms do it. Like ATT they have enough bodies and enough coaches that they just split them out. Like you just train at different times. But sport definitely with Sergio is not going to work that way. Like they already made Rafion leave for the tournament, but Scott Cushman was still in his corner. Scott Cushman is like
that's your neck of the woods, right? Midwest, Wisconsin. Is it Wisconsin?
Milwaukee's where I'm from.
So that's your you're right. That's really your area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've never met Rafion, but like first time I met Sergio, he was 14.
Oh shit.
Like Sergio was fucking people up in men's divisions when he was like 16. He was like a 17-year-old purple belt. Or maybe he might not have been a purple belt, but by the time he was 17, he was submitting purple belts like regularly. And he's not a jiu-jitsu guy. That's not to say he doesn't have good jiu-jitsu, but when he went to the local jiu-jitsu tournaments, he was submitting purple belts. Like, dude's got skills. The only other, what was the other thing I wanted to make note of? PFL. PFL has had Jeremy Stevens versus Clay Collard.
I saw that fight.
Fucking chaos.
That Clay Collard, great fight. Yeah, Clay Collard won. Did he win every round to you though? I don't know if it was a sweep 30-47.
I didn't see the whole fight.
I saw the whole fight. I mean, I thought Stevens got a round in there at some point. Like, I don't know. Some of those like the second and third round were a lot closer than the first, I thought, but it was a hell of a banger. It was a good fight. But yeah, we can talk more about PFL upcoming maybe or Bellator. It's a shame no one really, for some reason, I don't know if it's just in America. Well, maybe it's an American promotion, but no one cares about Bellator. Even being in the sports betting industry, like no one bets it. Like no one even knows what's going on. Like people they don't do pay-per-view buys. Like nobody really.
They don't really do a good job of advertising.
Is that what it is? I don't know what it is, but it's just think of like the American culture. It's like this is a second rate. Like I don't want to watch you. I'll watch UFC on ESPN. Like I'm not watching.
That's part of it. But they're not even second rate at this point. Like ONE FC puts out just as quality of content as the UFC, but they favor lower weight divisions and they favor foreign fighters that UFC doesn't care about.
I feel like the success like UFC fighters have going there, like their career kind of. I don't want to say it flames out, but usually they leave the UFC for, a bunch of reasons. Usually it's performance, you're not getting wins, like go here, and they seem to do really well there. So I feel like that doesn't do their stock very well. Like it makes people think like, like what's the worry about that? Like they can hack it. I feel like that has a little bit to do with it too. I don't know. But.
Yeah, I mean that's some of it. Oh shit! There's a PFL card tomorrow. I didn't know that.
But Patchy Mix, big underdog. Patchy Mix, he opened up like plus 275. Horiguchi was like minus 400. And Patchy Mix, he got bet down to like plus 175, and he got the win. But great price in Patchy Mix. I didn't bet him, unfortunately. I didn't bet that. I didn't understand the line. I figured Horiguchi would just outclass him in a sense, but that wasn't the case. But we got UFC this week. Another card, not a great card, but it preps us up for next week. Huge card next week, May 7th, big sports day. I think Kentucky Derby Day, Canelo fights, UFC pay-per-view so it's a big sports day. That's that. NBA playoff. So this Saturday we have the Pitbull, Andre Arlovski, and Jake Collier Arlovsky keeps doing it.
What was that?
Arlovsky keeps doing it at 43, 44.
Yeah, man, he's still dedicated to the game. He still has desire to be a world champion. Like most people are just most people in Andre Arlovsky's shoes are fighting for a paycheck at this point.
Right.
People ask Arlovsky, he says world champion or die trying. Yeah, right. Like he still has some serious limitations in the tools that he brings to the table, but his tools are incredibly well developed, and his strategy is incredible. Working with the guys at ATT, he's kind of like I don't mean this disrespectfully, but it is typically used in a disrespectful manner. He's kind of a gatekeeper. Like if you can beat Andre Arlovsky, you deserve to be in the top 15. Right. If you can't beat Arlovsky, you don't deserve to be there. Now, don't get me wrong. Arlovsky will beat some of those guys in the top 15. Like, he is a top 15 fighter. But if you can't beat Andre Arlovsky, you're not. Because he's a puzzle. If that makes sense.
Yeah, he's outclassed a lot of guys on the feet. More like younger guys or less skilled heavyweights. He's found a way to win. I think. I mean, he's won out of his past 6 fights. I think he won at least 4. I mean, he's gotten KO'd by Aspinall, like the really up and coming Aspinall KO'd him, and I forget someone else KO'd him. But still, no disrespect at all. I mean, he's really good. He beat Bandera last fight, which was questionable split decision. Bandera outstruck him in the second and third round, but it could have went either way. Jorginho knocked him out. He won 5. He did 6 out of 6 fights. He's beaten like Tanner Boser couldn't figure him out. And then he got Carlos Felipe, Bandera. I mean, those wins don't age that well. But still, he's good things on his feet. I mean, he's been a really good kickboxer. He looks like he wants no part of wrestling anymore. For any of that. It's good. Now, Jake Collier is showing some improvement. But this would definitely be the biggest thing in history if he can do the last two.
Yeah. Jake Collier is not a real heavyweight. Jake Collier has fought in the UFC at 185. And as such, I'm not picking that motherfucker. Homie, get your shit together. Like, you're not a heavyweight.
So did he just gain fat or gain weight to just be?
Yeah, man, he's just fat now. Go ahead and Google him and look at the pictures that show up first.
Oh no, I've seen his
with like a fucking 6-pack and shit.
I've seen his.
And then you see him fighting at 205, and he looks good at 205. And then you see him fighting at heavyweight, and he looks like my dad or me if I keep not training enough. It's just, you're not a heavyweight, man. Like, just being 230 pounds. Homeboy from PA that just fought fought the wrestler at heavyweight.
Blade.
Dawkins versus Blades. In the interview after Blade, they asked what Blades thought about Dawkins, and they're like, honestly, man, no shade. I don't think he's a heavyweight. Like, just being big doesn't being this weight doesn't make you a heavyweight. Like, he
would do much better at heavyweight.
Yeah, there's a certain frame you have to have. There's a certain size you must be. There's a certain power you must have in order to be a heavyweight. And there's a certain chin you must have. Right? He's doing it. Jake Collier is competing as a heavyweight. But I don't know, man. Is he
Yeah.
winning? Is he winning fights because he's fighting at heavyweight, or is he winning fights because he's good?
I mean, he doesn't really have his heavyweight debut was against Aspinall. That didn't go well. He got stretched quickly. Um, John Vellante win. And I mean, an old John Vellante also not, John Vellante, you speaking of guys,
Heavyweight John Vellante. John
great.
Vellante will look terrible at heavyweight.
Yeah, he used to have a great physique too. John Vellante, he was going up but John Vellante at that point, this was in 2020. That's an Owen doesn't age well. Split decision loss to Carlos Felipe, and where Collier won that first round. I remember that fight, and then just no output, nothing. Got outstruck by a guy who's just wants to go in there and fight in a phone booth and try to bang and knock me out. Just no output. It wasn't that Carlos Felipe too lost to that. That doesn't age well. And then he was able to sub Chase Sherman in the first round, which was a really good look for him. He got a good win. But yeah, now he's going up stepping against Orlovsky. I don't know. I mean, if he tries to, I think if he tries to take the fight to the mat, get Orlovsky down, I think that's his best way. I don't think he wins a kickboxing match against Orlovsky. So
Probably not. But Arlovsky's also a very good grappler.
he doesn't grapple though. It seems like he doesn't. He avoids grappling, and so when he gets down, I don't know. He didn't look like he looked kind of lost against Aspinall to me. Like he was down and knocked down, and then he just got choked and it was over. I don't know. Strange. But, you got Arlovsky winning this fight?
Absolutely.
Damn! I want to bet my 401k on Arlovsky right now. It's such a close line. Absolutely. You got Arlovsky winning this fight. Ah, man. Arlovsky just keeps he's like Starbucks stock. Like all stock people hate Starbucks stock. They're like, stay the fuck away from it. It's the worst thing ever. And all it's ever done was keep going up, splitting. So like every time I try to fade like an Arlovsky, I hate it. He can't. He just keeps winning. So I'm going to go with the algorithm and pick Collier. Collier winning the fight. Small dog. So we'll see what happens. I'll spite myself again. I'll go against you this time. Be the advocate. But that's it. Mike Breeden versus Natan Levy. Natan Levy looked like he had a grappling. He had a tough fight against Rafa Garcia. Lost, but his grappling looked really good. Natan Levy in that fight. He was a favorite in that fight. He ended up losing by decision. I didn't see a lot of Breeden. His last fight, Mike Money Breeden. He's second on short notice against Alexander Hernandez, and he got knocked out in the first round. So kind of want to see if he can with a full fight camp. He has a lot of KOs. A lot of KOs. I tried to see what I could have footage. Good low kick. That's a good low kick. I don't know. I don't know that much else about Mike Green. Not that much to see. Natan the that was
Go ahead. Sorry, you're not coming in super clear.
I'm not.
Yeah, like it was kind of coming in muffled. You might have just been too far from the mic.
How about now?
Better. I missed a little bit of the last stuff that you said.
Natan Levy fights. He fights out of Paris now. I think he's at the MMA, the same gym that Nagano and Gon came from. Yeah, I don't think
he fights out of Paris. I think he's just from. I think he just grew up in Paris. Tapology has him listed as an Israeli fighter. I bet you he grew up in France.
I think I think he made the move. I read it now on Tapology. I think he made the move to there to go fight after his last fight. He went there to go fight under his new coach is the guy, the same guy, the train thing. I'm not. That's. I read that somewhere. Maybe you could be right too.
I mean, that could be interesting. Like that's a footwork camp. Like but what they did with Cyril Gahn was teach him to maintain distance and pick and choose his opportunities. Natan Livy is a karateka, and if you look at his record, it's all like. I mean, he was brought up the right way, but every single one of his pro fights is in LFA up until the UFC.
Yes.
Like most people don't have their pro debut in LFA. Typically, if that happens, it's because they're struggling to find you fights on the local circuit.
Right.
So they take you to the regional circuit or the net. So like, here's what it is. If it is what I suspect, he was not getting fights on the regional circuit, and they had to take him to the national circuit just to find him fights.
Okay.
Right. So that like this dude looks good.
Yeah. Nobody. All right. I mean, hey, that could possibly be. I mean, he stepped up in competition to fight Rafa Garcia last time, and Garcia won. He won his last fight since. He might have won 2 fights since, so that's not a bad loss. Stepping up against the guy because Rafa Garcia was highly touted as well. So, yeah, I think we have much more information on Levy than we do versus Breeden. So I think in this case, yeah, I think this is a good matchup for Levy. I like Levy. I like Levy to get his first UFC win. How about you?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Levy. Typically, well, Israel is a no. Typically, Western Europeans can't wrestle. And Breeden is coming out of Glory MMA and Fitness, which is James Krause's school. That's a wrestling heavy camp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Levy was training at Syndicate, which has very, very, very high level grappling coaches. Very high level. So he could be prepared. But if you guys haven't made your bets during the fight and you start to see a consistent the fight consistently go to the ground, even early, if it's consistently going to the ground, I would not bet on Levy. I would bet on Breeden. Right? I don't know how much betting people actually do during a fight, but if you're going to do that kind of thing, if the fight turns into a grappling match, Breeden's going to win it.
Okay.
Everybody that comes out of Glory MMA and Fitness has really high quality grappling. They grapple a lot. Even the ones who don't use it are good at grappling. It's a grappling camp.
Okay.
But yeah, I am leaning towards Levy.
All right. Levy. Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see if there's we'll see if there's wrestling in the match. I'm sure that maybe they just fight on the feet. We will see. Elkins, Tristan Connolly, Darren the Damage Elkins.
I don't know who Tristan Connolly is.
Connolly is a Canadian fighter, and he fought. He took the first. I think the first UFC fight was at Sabatini. He fought Sabatini. I'm sorry. He did have. He beat Michel Pereira 2 years ago, and then
This guy. Oh, I know who this guy is. Yeah, this guy.
Sabatini, but he looked really good in the third round. He looked like he started to come on. I think he won the third round against Sabatini. He came on well. I think maybe he was just overwhelmed by how good Sabatini's grappling was. And Sabatini's, if not nothing, shown that his grappling is elite. Moving up against Elkins, I kind of like Connolly here, even though Elkins has done well. Elkins seems like he does okay against grapplers. He didn't get subbed by Ryan Hall. He went the distance. He beat up Derek Minner. I think Connolly is like, is a more of a grappler, but I like his gas tank. That's what I like. I like his gas tank here. I like his gas tank to take over and outwork Elkins.
You
I
can't
think
outwork Darren Elkins.
you don't think he's going to outwork Darren Elkins?
Can't outwork Darren Elkins.
Can't,
Can't.
can't. I
Can't.
think.
That's not to say you can't beat him.
I
A couple
think.
of have beat him, but you nobody outworks Darren Elkins. That is the thing that he has going for him. That is his thing. You're not going to outwork him. That's why he beat Derek Minner, because Derek Minner puts it on dudes, drowns them, and then finishes them. Doesn't happen against Darren Elkins. Does not happen.
All right.
Right? Like that Cub Swanson victory, that was freaky.
Yeah.
But like, dude, look, everything else in this record, even like, okay, he lost to Nate the Train, whatever, and he lost to Ryan Hall by decision. Okay. Alexander Volkanovski, cool. Ricardo Lamas, cool. All right, like one of his last 5 losses is not a truly elite of the elite today fighter. That's not shitting on Nate Landwehr. I like Nate the Train. I think he's hilarious, and I think he could go places, right? But as of today, he's not. He's very good, but he's not the tip of the spear. Those other 5 dudes either are or have been already the tip of the spear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Tristan Connolly didn't show me anything in his Michel Pereira fight that told me that he's the tip of the spear. Now, he did outlast Michel Pereira, but he outlasted a dude who notably doesn't have a gas tank. Like,
Right.
you're not, unless Tristan Connolly has some otherworldly cardio, he's not outlasting Darren Elkins.
I
And
think
there's no way his work rate's going to be higher.
I think he does. I think people are sleeping on Connolly's gas tank. I think his work ethic gas tank. I mean, it's really hard. Really hard to not get subbed by Sabatini, being in the positions he was in, and then to come back and flip that and actually get offensive and finish Sabatini, and then keep trying to grapple with him and starting to win positions. I think that's really big cardio. But it's just my read on it. So I think he's a live underdog here. Um, we'll see. So you got Elkins?
Yeah, I'm picking the damage. Just because I haven't seen enough out of Connolly to tell me that he can beat Elkins.
All right, I'm going to go with Connolly with the upset. We'll see. Joe Anderson Brito and Andre Feely. So, I mean, this line stuck out to me. I think it's just too high. I mean, I don't think Andre Feely's almost like minus 300 right now. I feel it's too high. Even though I like Andre Feely, I don't feel he's like if you're going to be minus 300 in a men's MMA fight, you need to be able to finish, dude, or like you need to finish that fight. In my opinion, for me to feel you should be that high. I don't know if Andre Feely is necessarily like I don't have confidence that he's just going to just walk right through this guy and finish him. Definitely fought everyone though. Andre Feely, I think he fought Bryce Mitchell last time.
Yeah. No, his last fight was a no contest against Daniel Pineda.
Oh yeah, remember that IPO? Oh, that sucked. Yeah, Daniel Pineda, IPO, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, he's fought so many guys. If you at the back, man, definitely fought. So it's definitely a step up in competition for Brito. I don't. Brito, I think is Brito, right? His first year, his Contender Series 2021. And then he stepped in against Bill Algeo. He was a favorite, and he didn't look good at all. He got outstruck, outwinded. Wasn't really a great look for him. I mean, Bill Algeo can just dominate the stats on you like that. I'm going to assume Andre Philly can as well. Even though I wouldn't, I don't like minus 300. I don't know if he's going to crush rounds here or thing. Feel like it's going to go really good distance more often than not. I don't think he wins all 3 rounds, so I'm not comfortable laying that. So for our intents and purposes, yeah, I'll go with Andre. I'm going to go with Feely to get the win.
Yeah, I think Touchy Feely should beat him, but I don't expect it to be some like unbelievable. How did he do this? That was the most incredible finish I've ever seen because that just really isn't Touchy Feely.
Mm-hmm.
He tends to just establish himself and stay ahead. And he finished some of them, but like
Yeah.
the only people who beat, with the exception of Godofredo Pepe, every person that has beaten Touchy Feely is like the elite of the elite of the elite, or is about to be. Bryce Mitchell, Sadiq Youssef, Michael Johnson, Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, Max Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
That's his UFC losses.
Right.
Like, all of those dudes are top 5 fighters or will be. Like, Bryce Mitchell is top 15 right now. Sadiq Youssef very likely will be top 15. Michael Johnson has been top 15. Kelvin Kattar, I think, is top 5. Yair Rodriguez is top 5. I forget who Godofredo Pepe is. I don't really remember how good he is, but I do know the name. But yeah, like, it's just, if you're not the one of the best 15 fighters on the planet, you're not beating Touchy Feely.
Mm-hmm. All right. Got him. Well, next match up, we got Grant Dawson against Jared Flash Gordon. Um, Dawson's looked incredible at stretches so far in his UFC career until that um, 3rd round of his match against Ricky Glenn. I mean, he was gassed. Totally gassed in that one. It ended up being a draw. Glenn looked good early though in that match, just like Dawson. I'm sorry, Dawson good in that match early. Definitely looked great, and he was definitely winning that fight. Just I think the third round he got 10-8. I mean, it was just wasn't even close. He was totally gassed, completely gassed. I don't think he saw the fight. And it ended up being a draw. Um, but Ricky Glenn's a good wrestler too. I think he fights out of one of the gyms that you were just mentioned.
Yeah. He yeah. Grant Dawson's a motherfucker of motherfuckers. He's also a James Krause product. He's got wins over Leonardo Santos. He's the only person to ever beat Leonardo Santos, who is no, he's not. I'm not the only person. I think he might be the only UFC fighter. Maybe. Whatever. Leo Santos is the head grappling coach of Nova União and has been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's like, he's 42 years old and still puts it on dudes when he fights them. Now, at 155, Grant Dawson beat him. He beat Derek Minner. He out-grappled Derek Minner. Derek Minner is like a grappling savant, and his whole style is force you to grapple. What do you want to do? We're grappling now. What do you want to do? No, we're grappling now. Like, oh, you want to strike? No, we're grappling. You didn't understand. We're grappling, but we're standing. No, we're still grappling. You didn't understand. We're still grappling. It's real crazy to watch. And he only loses to like super elite grapplers. Every single time I've seen Grant Dawson, I've been ultra impressed. I did not see the fight against Rick Glenn. Rick Glenn's fucking good. Rick Glenn. He's from Iowa, but he was in Milwaukee for a while.
You would have been. I mean, you would still be impressed with him. He was great until the 3rd round. When he made everybody, if you backed Dawson that night, you were on the edge of your seat. You were like, "What the fuck?" Because it just turned into Ricky Glenn dominate the round for 10-8 and ended up being a draw. So you didn't lose your bet, but you didn't win it either. But he just looked. I feel he makes the adjustment here. I feel this is a perfect opponent for him to do so. I think like maybe the gas tank issue. I don't think he has a gas tank issue. I just think he just had to exert so much against another really good wrestler, and he got the better of it for a little while. He didn't get the finish, and then he didn't have it. But your body's going to adapt to that, and you also get smarter. I think he puts it together here, and I think he has a good performance. If he doesn't, then I don't know. There's going to be a lot of questions about, where his go, but I'm pretty sure he can overwhelm exchanges here of grappling and get takedowns with control. So I got Dawson.
Yeah, definitely have Dawson.
Oh, Gina Matthes versus Shayna Young. I don't think we've seen Gina Matthes since she got KO'd by Priscilla. That was one of my underdog hits.
Oh my gosh, she lost to Priscilla Cachoeira.
But that doesn't look like such. Well, she gassed hard. She gassed hard around. She couldn't sub. She couldn't find the sub in the first round. She got positioned, and she just totally gassed. And she had nothing left. She couldn't even keep her hands up. And she just got knocked out. Does it look like the worst loss now? No, because Priscilla's kind of looked good. Like not good, but I mean,
no.
Finish. She can't get finished.
No, Priscilla Cachoeira is the worst fighter in the UFC.
Might be. She got no striking defense, but girls can't stop, and she's fucking bangs.
She's huge. That's it. She's the worst fighter in the UFC.
No,
she's 3-3.
It might be worse because she fucking blew. Kim might be worse than her because she blew that fight the last time against Priscilla, and I'm salty about it.
Yeah, I didn't see that fight, but nah, man. Oh, this is a rematch. No. Never mind. I'm looking at Priscilla. I'm not looking at Shayna Young.
Gina, I think the game's correct now too. She's definitely a jiu-jitsu. She wants to win the fight on the mat. I think she switched. Glory MMA. Oh, since 2020. Glory MMA kickboxing. Yeah, she just didn't have it. Rachel Ostovich, who's just, she's hot. She's not a UFC fighter anymore. That's not a great loss. She got by Julia. She's
Shayna Young. I don't know who you are, but I'm expecting you to dominate this fight.
No, let's see the other way. I think this is just like we talked. I think this is an opponent for Gina Matthes. And Gina Matthes, this is her own little. This is a gatekeeper fight in a sense. Gina Matthes is Shayna Young is 0-3 UFC, getting brought back. I don't. It should be Gina Matthes' fight. Depending, I don't know what's going to happen. She does have a wrestling background. So,
what?
She has a wrestling background.
Shayna Young?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, but she's from a state that doesn't wrestle, so who cares?
True.
I hope that she's the only person in Tennessee that knows how to wrestle, and she brings it. And I met Gina Mazzani once. She's nice. She's cool. I sat behind her, and the whole time I'm like, why do I know who this girl is?
Was it the red hair?
The whole time. I think her hair was pink that day, but yeah. This was a while ago. And she was sitting next to the dude that she's married to or dating, Elliott. Tim Elliott? Oh,
yeah. Got that crazy fucking...
Yeah, he had crazy hair, too. They both had crazy hair. They were sitting right in front of me. No worries. I was sitting in the section with UFC fighters, and some dude started talking shit about the fight that was happening, calling people a bunch of pussies, talking about all the stuff that he would do. And he got so disrespectful that fighters started standing up to go turn around and do something about it. And my wife dipped off real quick and went and got security and was like, hey, you got to do something about that guy. And security tried to he's just being a fan. Blah, 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 blah. She's like, you don't understand where he's sitting. And she starts pointing, and I'm like, that's a UFC fighter. That's a UFC fighter. That's a UFC fighter. Now look at them next time he says a word. And they went and they grabbed that guy in 60 seconds. In 60 seconds, they got that guy out of there. Because it was going to be a problem. That guy was about to get fucked up by multiple people.
There's always that guy. Just, depending on the level of what he's saying, there's always that guy. the event at a poker table or somewhere with like a bunch of friends, there's always somebody like, well, I can do that. Well, that's not impressive. Like it's just like really thing like that, but they actually believe it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just
They literally don't know
they
how
no,
unprepared they are for actual conflict.
I mean, a friend of mine, we still bust his balls about it because he's one of our good friends, and he's got a huge ego. He on for like three like thing that he's saying that Khabib couldn't take him down because he
Yeah.
he's, he's like 140 pounds. I'm 240. He can't take me down. And I'm like, all right. I was like, okay. We're like,
Uh,
I think one other person, like we were like, he can take you down and he'll keep you down. And he's like, no, I'll get right back up. No shot. He's like carrying, he's like, he'd be like carrying a little book bag. Like he's like a little man. He's like, I'm like, all right. I was like,
he's not 155 pounds. He's 195 pounds.
I was like, all right, buddy. Like he really I'm like, you think the best mixed martial arts fighter in the universe can't take your fat 240 pound ass down? That doesn't do anything athletic, like anything. He can't take me down. No way. I'm like, okay. I was like, and he's serious. He believes it. But that's the common, like, that is like the common fan, like a lot of common fans mentality. Like it's like, no, I can do that. Like I could stand up to that punch. I could probably do this. You know, it's
Because you look at fighting, it's the same way they treat stand up comedy. Like I can talk. He's just on the stage talking. Like I know how to move my arms. All they do is move their arms, and it hurts the other guy.
right.
And then
But
sometimes they give him a hug, and that guy falls over. Like I'm not just gonna fall over if you give me a hug. Like these
getting
people are stupid. They literally just don't understand what they're talking about. I heard this story about some high rollers. A friend of a training partner runs a gambling like an underground gambling thing for some real high rollers, like $1 million, $2 million. Like they're not playing for anything less than that. And they were betting on fights or they were talking shit about fights. And one guy's like, I could definitely beat Amanda Nunes. And no, you don't understand. So they called Amanda Nunes.
somebody had her number or like her agent. That's funny as
And
fuck.
the guy that I train with reached out to either Amanda or Amanda's team.
Yeah.
And there was talks about putting on a $1 million bet on Amanda versus this guy. And if Amanda won, she would have got $1 million for this. I don't know. I don't know if it happened. It wouldn't have been like a sanctioned event, but like fly Amanda up, go to some local gym. This was in Philly. This was Philly gamblers. Fly Amanda from Florida to Philly.
I would have to know some of the guys.
Any gym. It wasn't like. I mean, maybe you would. I don't know who the gamblers were.
Some games but yeah.
But like it was like some back alley games. It wasn't like in a casino type thing.
It's my world.
That's your world.
My world.
But the idea that people can do. Did you ever see the reporter who talked shit to Ronda Rousey and then Ronda broke 3 of his ribs?
Yeah, I did. I did too.
Just threw his ass.
Threw his ass.
And he didn't know how to land, so he broke ribs. People are stupid.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm still stupid, but I understand that I'm probably not gonna knock out Curtis Blades. So I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a simple thing. Khabib could definitely take me down. So that's.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got Gina Maz in that fight. I think she grapples her way to a win. Next fight. So there's not much about this one. Taira Tsuro. Yeah, prospect. Big favorite for a prospect. I can't really equate his. I don't really know any of the leagues or he's fought against. Up here, he's going to be exciting at the least. He's going to be exciting. Carlos Carrarito. That's sort of Hugo, a big favorite. He's like my 300. I don't. I'm not big on laying. I don't know. Big favorite. Just thinking he can walk in here and crush this fight. I don't know. I know there's not much about Candelario either. He lost a split on the Tenor series, undefeated before that. I don't. Tatsuro defeated um, all of his fights.
Wait, what?
Japan,
Oh shit!
and they're mostly finishes, all kinds of finishes too. Ground and pounds, triangles, rear nakeds. He had amateur too. I mean, the guy's never lost yet, and he's exciting. So, I mean, I'll go. But I'm not sure. I think the best bet here under you still get 2.5 rounds at -110, and even the sort of finisher. So I would, I would go. I would think get to one way or the other. What do you think? I don't know.
Tatsuro is on a 19 fight win streak, and he's
Uh,
22 years old. I am absolutely going to ride that hype train into this fight.
let's do it. Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see. But I'm pretty sure they want an exciting fight. Um, exciting guy. We'll see what he can. Tatsuro. Moving. All right, nice. We got G3. Gerald Mearschart. You love you some Gerald Mearschart. And again,
That's
Christoph.
not.
Now,
Go ahead.
isn't he from Milwaukee too? He's a Milwaukee guy.
He's not from Milwaukee, but he is from Wisconsin. He does train in Milwaukee now.
Okay.
He's from Racine, which is the one county south. He was, I think he's like a state class wrestler before he got into MMA. But like when I was in high school, so I'm 31, he's 34. When I was in high school, he was already one of the top 5 fighters in Wisconsin. So like I was like 16, 17, and I'd be on Wisconsin Combat Sports looking at what stuff happened, and he was winning fight after fight after fight after fight.
Mm.
It took him forever to get to the UFC.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I expect Mearschart definitely his career, and skill Matt for sure. Looks and here stepping on Christoph Jocko. Yeah, I mean, I guess not the most fight. I mean, Jocko's style is pretty much you're not going to take me down, and I'm going to try to strike you. Volume striking. If I put it like anyway.
I trained with I trained with Christoph Yatko for a couple weeks in Thailand.
Oh wow, his career record is really good though. He's like I think he's only lost five times. He's 3-5 for his career, which is good. He lost to Flynn. He was out on the feet there, but Shurkanov split decision. He didn't get taken down in that fight, which is hard. He's strong as fuck. But no. Go ahead. You were
He's
saying
very much an anti-grappler. Like even while he's in grappling class, he's looking to disengage, kind of like wrestlers do when they don't know jiu-jitsu. He's not like aggressive. He's not offensive. So if Gerald Mearschart can get this to the ground, Gerald Mearschart's going to slaughter him.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Well, I think the consensus here, Jocko, he's like -50 favorite. Measuring, I was like, oh god, I'll take Mearschart. Like, but I don't know. Like, I know the takedown defense is ridiculously good, but I don't know how that translates into Mearschart trying to take you down. Is like he's going to have some tricks up his? I would assume. I don't know if he can get it to the mat though. Mearschart also. He did.
Mearschart has 41% takedown accuracy, and he's good for 2.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. So he goes for like 1 takedown per round.
Who's he taking down?
Go ahead.
No, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like, but who's taking down?
Who did he take down?
Like who's he
Justin.
taking down out of his
He took
fights?
down Justin Stoltzfus once.
Doing
He took
terrible.
down
He
Mahmoud Muradov 3 times. He took down Duran Win once. Duran Win's a world-class wrestler. Took down Trevin Giles once. Took down Kevin Holland 6 times.
he was
Took down
supposed to.
Oscar Pichota 3 times.
Funny. It's the thing that is like Mearstart. Mearstart was apparently like he was on his way out. His career was in jeopardy. And the Murado fight, he was a huge underdog. And I ended up betting him, and he fucking upset when he subbed the guy. Like Murado was supposed to be, supposed to really handle him well. Then Mearstart was huge favorites against Stoltzfus, and he looked terrible the first 2 rounds. And then he found the submission like late in the third round, which he needed because he was never winning if it went to the scorecards. So I don't know, like, I mean, I feel like Mearstart needs a takedown against Jocko, or he's just not going to be able to hang on the feet. But then I've seen Jocko not really push a crazy pace. So I don't know. I don't
Really
know.
a very middleweight fight is what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't know.
Middleweight is a weird division.
No bet. It's a no bet for me, but
No bet.
well, I'm going to pick somebody, but I'm saying if I was going to, I'm not.
Yeah, I am rooting for Gerald Mearshart. If only because Yako was kind of a twat. I'm not positive. Gerald Mearshart's takedowns are a little bit inflated because of that Kevin Holland fight, where Kevin Holland kept walking back into him, and Kevin Holland was initiating grappling with Mearshart, and then at the end he was like, "Man, I wanted to strike with Mearshart, but he just kept grabbing me." And we were like, "You were the one who was initiating every single grappling, and then you just would make a mistake, and all of a sudden you guys were on the ground." It wasn't even necessarily like I don't think Mearshart took him down 6 times. I think Mearshart took him down 2 or 3, and Kevin Holland took himself down the other 3 times, while Mearshart's hands were locked. If that makes sense.
No, it does. I don't remember that fight.
That was a super weird fight.
I'll go with Jocko. Just I can't. It's hard for me to back Mearshart. I feel like Mearshart's favorite, or not. I feel like he should be the big underdog. I'll just lean with. I'll say the books have right. I'll just go with Jocko to and maybe deter him with some striking. Well, main event. Marlon Vera. Kind of got fight got worse. Right? His fight ended up stopping Mickey Edgar. So I guess I could. This Rob Font's a slight favorite. This is 5 rounds. So Marlon Vera never fought 5 rounds. Marlon Vera, questionable fight IQ in my opinion. I think definitely bet against Jose Aldo. And he didn't look good the first round. He was really good second round, and the third he just made a real bad technical mistake and basically just gave Jose Aldo his back while standing. And Aldo jumped on and be able to just control the rest of that round and win the decision. Against Frankie, where 3-round fighting Frankie, and he's favored Frankie, probably about 2.5 to 1. But you got to know that Frankie wants to take you down. Like Frankie's best path to that winning that fight is take you down, find a sub, try to bank around to, like that. And Frankie just, he gets him down, and just like, I don't know if it was the most clean down, he still found himself back. And you had to know that's coming in the first round, don't you? So he gave it away. So he gave away and he gave away a winning that. He got the, but I don't know. Flat-footed striking. I feel Rob Font is a really fluid striker. Rob Font throws volume. Font can five wins. Vera does have. I, he can do some kicks, cat kicks, like Aldo. We know he has good kicks. Um, it's a really tough, in my opinion. I don't think there's an angle betting it. I'm going to go with Font because I think I can't back guys that show me you have a big fight IQ. Like if you give away a round or a fight there, you might give away 2 rounds to Font here. If you walk down, you want you want to save your output before you know it, you're down 2 rounds in a 5-round fight, and it's going to be really hard to beat Rob Font over 3 rounds. What do you think?
I think that Rob Font working behind the jab can piece up Chito Vera. I think that Chito gets hit more often than he hits people.
Okay.
And Rob Font hits people significantly more than he gets hit.
Mm.
I don't expect I don't expect a bunch of takedowns. Yeah.
I think the best way to win, though, is trying to take it down. You don't know when you're going to try to do that or if it's in his plan at all. I mean, we don't know.
Why do you think that Vera would want to take him down? Why would Chito want to take this fight to the ground?
Because just what we said, I think Font has shown that he can box, he can fight, he can hands. I think Vera has a grappling edge. I think if he can get him down, I think his jiu-jitsu is better. I think he can find. I think that's his best way of getting a fight, ground and pound. Vera has power. I just don't. I don't. I think better. I think he would do better not trying to stand up for 5 rounds of Rob Font. I feel Rob Font walks home easy win if it goes 5 rounds standing up. I don't think he gets. I don't think he can beat Rob Font in a 5-round fight striking back.
Okay, so it's not. Oh, you're saying this is the path of least resistance.
I think his best path to victory, yes, is going to engage in grappling, wrestling, maybe tire Font. Then maybe he could finish the fight on the ground, or even at the worst, if Font gets up, Font has shown he could hook it up right away against certain people. I think it was Garbrandt, the other fight, and other people who get up, but it still tires you out. Maybe he takes some sting off the jab. Maybe later, you're fighting 25 minutes. Then maybe Vera can walk it through. Vera does have a chin. I don't know if he's ever been stopped. But it's just there's a lot of angles to look at. It's a tough fight. I don't think there's an angle here at all. It's just I think it's a fun fight to watch. But this he lost to Aldo, lost to Song Yadong. He got the TK over O'Malley, which was O'Malley got the dead leg. He's I don't know. Like this is so he couldn't hang with. Lost to Aldo. He did win a round against Aldo though. He lost unanimously though. The Song Yadong, Aldo. I think Ali was kind of. I mean, he got it wasn't rules. I don't. He does have John Nicker. He went the distance. He's never been finished. So he's definitely you can't finish the man. But I just don't know where. I feel this is the middle of the road for him. Like step up. Like I don't know. So I don't know. It's a tough match. You got.
I'm leaning Rob Font. I underrated Rob Font for far too long, and I think that the Chito Vera versus Jose Aldo showed a big weakness in Chito's game. I think that he gets hit too much to work with Rob Font on the feet, like you said. And even though Chito is an excellent finisher and is someone who's been fighting, like Chito's a street fighter. Chito didn't know how to do MMA when he got into the UFC.
Okay.
Like he fought on the street, had not trained. I don't think he did any formal training until he was in the UFC.
How is that possible?
Often he got into street fights, and then he was on the Ultimate Fighter with his record was like 1-0 when he got to the UFC.
Yeah,
when he got to the Ultimate Fighter, some craziness because he's from Ecuador.
That mentality, yeah. I mean, it shows. I guess if you've never been finished 25, 30 fights, yeah. I mean, you're just a tough ass. You're just a tough minded motherfucker. If you're like, I'm not like getting finish is not happening to me. Like that's like it's just like he walks around every day, and that's just his life mode. Like I'm not getting finished. He's like, we're fighting, motherfucker, but you're not knocking me out. You might win, but you're not finishing me.
Yeah, he was 6-1-1 when he got to the UFC. And I'm pretty confident. Like I listened to him, I think on Schaub's show, Food Truck Diaries. And I don't think he had been in an MMA gym until the show. Like for real. I think he was just a street fighter that was winning MMA fights all around South America. And then he got cast in the Ultimate. It was like I think it was the first Ultimate Fighter Latin America. And then so part of the thing with Cheeto is we've seen his development. So watching him lose to Davey Grant, right? Losing to John Lineker and Douglas Silva de Andrade and Song Yadong and Jose Aldo. But like look at the people he beat in between. He beat Frankie Edgar. He beat Davey Grant. That was a rematch. Yeah, he beat Davey Grant. He beat Sean O'Malley. That was crazy. Beating Andre Ewell. That's impressive. Noelan Hernandez is a good fighter. He beat Frankie Saenz, is a good fighter. Guido Canetti's a good fighter. Waliji Burin is a good fighter. Brian Kelleher is a pretty good fighter. Brad Pickett's a good fighter. Yo, like he's beaten a fucking who's. But I think he's just still super raw and undeveloped. The other thing is I'm pretty sure he does his jiu-jitsu with 10th Planet. And even though their system is designed for MMA, they don't have good jiu-jitsu in MMA. Like nobody repping 10th Planet does well with jiu-jitsu in MMA. It just doesn't happen. I don't know. I have no idea why that is. But it doesn't happen. They also don't do particularly well in jiu-jitsu. There's no like, and that's not to say there's not good guys who are from 10th Planet, but like for as big as their name is, who have they produced?
I don't. Yeah.
The answer is nobody.
Joe Rogan.
For as big and popular as Rubber Guard is, who uses Rubber Guard? The two people that actually compete from their team.
Chase Hooper.
Chase Hooper. I would say that the best player in the world.
In an MMA octagon, in a UFC octagon.
Vinny Megalais. That's who uses Rubber Guard.
Who?
But you don't know who Vinny Megalais is?
Oh, Vinny Megalais. Yeah, he's in the PFL now.
Yeah. Vinny Megalais. Yeah, PFL. But he's the elite of the elite of the elite of the elite of the elite in jiu-jitsu. Like 1% of the 1% of the 1% in jiu-jitsu can beat Vinny Megalais, even though he's a full-time fighter and does jiu-jitsu as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's that good.
Yeah.
He's the only dude who uses Rubber Guard, and it's just an extra tool he uses. Man. I have a lot of respect for Cheeto. I think that there's a lot that he can do. I think he works with good people, being with Colin Oyama and being with homeboy that was Jason Perillo. These dudes are both real good fighters. Like as a head coach, Colin Oyama has done a lot of good things for a lot of people. As a striking coach, Jason Perillo has done a lot of good things for a lot of people. But I don't see anything impressive in his grappling development. He's a good finisher. He's an opportunist. But I think that just comes from his street fighting, not from his technique. Mm-hmm. I think that comes from that just comes from who he is. So yeah, I'm definitely going with Rob Font.
All right, we got Font. All right, we got
We gotta reorganize this. All right. Do we have anything else we need to say before we close the live? All right. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe this time and every time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.